It has been 50 years since Dr. King's famed "I Have a Dream" speech, and it's still relevant today. 22 News reporter Anaridis Rodriguez spoke with a UMass professor who was in Washington 50 years ago and heard Dr. King that day.
The year was 1963, and the speech marked a turning point in the fight against injustice and racism. 50 years later, we met up with one of the guardians of Dr. King's dream.
Will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
More than 200,000 people packed the National Mall on a hot August day to hear a speech that galvanized the civil rights movement. A 22-year-old John Bracey was among them.
First of all, it's hot. It's Washington, D.C. in the summertime, which is hot and muggy, right? And I was trying to get to the reflection pool so I could get my feet in the water.
Bracey never got to that reflection pool, but once he found some shade, he was touched by Dr. King's words.
And it was pretty good. I mean, he could talk. My original feeling was that he had a much more optimistic view of the country than I had.
By 1963, Bracey had been a civil rights activist for several years and had been arrested in Chicago during a number of sit-ins.
I met Dr. King personally when he came to Chicago in 1965-66 to do the open housing marches in Gage Park.
He's since dedicated his life to teaching. Bracey now chairs the Afro-American Studies program at UMass and says his experiences help him shape young minds.
We see differences. We look at somebody and see them as not us. And it's the worst thing in the world. Well, what are you? That's the first thing we ask somebody. Well, who are you? Well, they're a human being. They have a right to live the way they want to live. And so you look at what makes us the same people. And that was King's view.
Less than a year after Dr. King's speech, the Civil Rights Act was signed into law. Live from our Hampshire County Bureau in Northampton, Anaridis Rodriguez, 22 News.